Are you tired of high-pressure tactics?
No, I'm not going to sign that. It's too much.
At Community Auto Group, you'll find we have a straightforward approach.
If other dealers have made you uncomfortable, give Community a try. You'll enjoy your experience here and find a straightforward deal that's right for you, not high-pressure tactics.
Community Auto Group, straightforward deals from the straightforward dealer.
Was it with Peter in mind?
You know, be truthful, the way the game came together, you know, Jerry Strom scheduled the game. I think he had that in mind. It would have been of great interest to me, you know, for Pete. But it wasn't anything I did deliberately, no.
Because he said he found out from his brother.
Right.
And then called you, and he was really surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk to him about it. It wasn't my idea. You know, we looked to put a schedule together. It's obviously a very complicated process. You know, they were looking for a game. We were looking for a game. You look at time, and then you look at, you know, why it makes sense to play the game, and then it sort of comes together. You know, it's got to make sense for them. It's got to make sense for us. But certainly, you know, that component of it makes it, you know, an interesting game for both teams.
You, Pete's brother said that you know, there was a way for Coach Allen to get him to play one game closer to home, but the fact that you played at Penn was another part of the equation. So you never talked to Coach Allen about this?
No, I did not.
Oh, I know you've coached against Penn before. Is it an odd feeling? Is it just another game at this point? What is it like for you?
The first time it was.
As a Lehigh, right?
Yeah. The first time I coached against him was very strange because I wasn't that old. I was, 27, something like that. So I'd only been out of school 5 years or so. And I was coaching against Tom Schneider, who was my boss at Lehigh. He was my assistant coach at Penn. So he left Lehigh to go back to Penn. So I was coaching against my former mentor and at my alma mater. So that was a little bit different. But as time goes by, you know, it's not quite the same, but, you know, obviously there's still feelings there. Not only because I went there, because I grew up going to that building, you know, as a youngster and going every Saturday night for quite some time with my father and my brother and my mother. And my dad worked there for many years at the Palestra. So there's obviously very strong ties, you know, to that institution. You know, Steve Bilski, the athletic director there, he was one of my coaches when I was playing. I thought he was going to go into coaching. He ended up going into administration. He's been very successful, but he was a very good coach. So, you know, for me, it's a little bit different, but not quite the same as the first time.
I know your dad, one of his jobs was in charge of the officials, right? Getting them on there.
Right. I mean, he did a couple different jobs, but in the latter part of his career there, he had security on that side of the building, so his job was to get the officials from the court to the locker room. So he got to know all those guys, yeah.
Would you like to schedule a game at the Palestra sometime?
That's a possibility. You know, it's a little more complicated than, you know, let's do something that I want to do. You know, it's what's best for Iowa. That's how we're going to schedule.
Have you had any conversations with Pete about emotions or anything?
Not yet, but I will. I mean, what I've tried to do is gauge how he's approached practice. He's had really good practices, and he just keeps getting better.
Did you carry the White Magic nickname with you to Penn, or did that end when your high school days?
No, it was, yeah, that stayed with me.
Did you go to between the Wake Forest and those in there?
Right. You know, I got that name in high school, and it went all the way through my career. And you know, some of my buddies from back then, that's still how they address me. But it wasn't that big a deal, to be honest with you. You know, you know, I think it has more of an appeal if you're the best player on the team or something like that. I wasn't the best player on the team. We had better players. I was a pretty good player on a really good team. I was thrilled to be a part of it.
Well, that had to be tough, didn't it, though, to be sitting out on a Final Four team, missing a Final Four?
Yeah, well, it was different because we knew we were going to be good, but I don't think anybody ever thinks they're going to get to the Final Four. I mean, it's not something you plan on. But we were a very experienced team, and it had an incredible mental toughness that team had. So I think it was great for me to be a part of it and just be in that atmosphere every day and watch the journey. We were fairly certain we're going to go to the NCAA tournament. And then, of course, in the first weekend, we have to play North Carolina in Raleigh. And that was an amazing game. I was there. I went down. And then we had to go back the following week to Greensboro to get to the Final Four. And looked at the field and felt like, hey, we got a shot here. It was Syracuse, St. John's, Rutgers, and Penn. Carolina and Duke were supposed to be there. That's why it was in Greensboro. They lost on what they still refer to as Black Sunday. Duke lost to St. John's, and North Carolina lost to Penn.
The team you're facing, they played really well at Penn State. They have some pretty
Well, they played Penn State at home.
Oh, that was at home.
That was at home, yeah. They have shown a tremendous amount of resilience in the first 3 games. They were down 15 against Temple in the second half, came back and took the lead. They were down 10 on the road at Monmouth, came back and won. And they were down 26 in the second half against Penn State and came back. I forget what they cut it to, but they erased about 18 or 20 points, maybe more. So they've shown that they can score and they have composure to come back.
Do you like the way your combinations are working right now, your substitution pattern?
Yeah, it's worked out really well. I mean, I'm not surprised. We've had an opportunity to do this now. We had 6 games overseas and an exhibition, scrimmage, 4 games. So we've had an ample amount of time to see that develop. So I'm not surprised.
Going overseas help next week when you guys travel again?
I think so. We're kind of used to traveling, but that's a little bit different. You got to travel somewhere and then play 3 games in 3 days. I think our depth will be more of a factor than the fact that we went overseas.
Do you have any update on August V? And will there ever be a point when you think about redshirting him, depending on how fast?
We would think about redshirting him only if he came back and just was completely ineffective or had a setback. And we fully expect him to recover. He's on pace, but it's just one of those things. You insert a pin in somebody's foot, you're going to have to wait, pretty much the full 6 weeks. But he's working out diligently in the pool and on the bike and things like that.
Is that injury the most difficult for maybe playing defense, moving side to side rather than straightforward?
I suppose, but either way you're pushing off, and then the other side of it is to jump up and down and the pounding of it. He stepped on a guy's foot, and that's when it popped on him. Now with a pin, that shouldn't happen anymore. I think the interesting thing will be, what's his discomfort level when he comes back? Does he still feel it? Is he tentative? Is he hesitant at all? But he should be fine.
You mentioned Penn's ability to come back and get back into games and even win some of them. Just what type of matchup are you sensing from them in terms of what challenges they're going to?
Well, they present a lot of challenges, not the least of which is they have size. They have 2 really good post players. Doherty and Nelson Henry, really good players. Nelson Henry 6'11", 265. Doherty's 6'8", 230. Both of them have a game. They can score in a variety of ways. And then they've got tremendous quickness on the perimeter across the board. Cartwright and Hicks are very good players. But it just doesn't stop with those 4 guys. They have a lot of depth, and they've got upperclassmen to come in off the bench. And when that happens, typically those guys don't make mistakes. So when and they all bring something different to the table. So when you start with 4 really good players, then you add in quality, experienced players who can do a variety of things. Now you got a really good team. I think that's a team that, without question, will contend for the Ivy League championship. The preseason they were picked 2nd behind Harvard, who's obviously ranked.
4 games in, are you happy with the development from your team overall?
Yeah, very happy, but I think, somewhat guarded in terms of who we've played. Some of those teams have, obviously Nebraska Omaha has done really well. UNC Wilmington's done really well since they left Iowa. And Maryland Eastern Shore won last night. Abilene Christian, plays TCU to a 7-point game. So maybe you look and say, well, maybe I'm underestimating what we've accomplished, but I just think we have to prove more.
Well, obviously you have a chance, not only Friday, but then your next 3 games, or 4 games, you know a lot better where you're at.
Yeah, I think without question. I mean, you look at, tomorrow night's game is be a very tough game. A very good challenge for our team. And then, of course, 3 games in 3 days against, obviously, high-profile programs, and then fly back late on Saturday and have to play Notre Dame on Tuesday. So, but, we did that by design.
The health, everybody else okay?
Everybody else is fine. Yeah, everybody else is good.
You're happy with this move with Marble more off the ball and the position?
Yeah, I think it's worked well. I think it's worked well for both of them. I think, whenever you make a move like that, you got to feel pretty good that it's going to make sense for both guys. You got to be careful making a move because you think it might help one guy. Because it might help one guy, but it might hurt the other guy, and then you really haven't accomplished anything. So in that case, I think it's helped both of them immensely.
In the case that you had, I think 3 different players have started at least 13 games at point in the last year and a half or wherever. Is it really that big of a deal whether DeSelle's there today? Because in 3 weeks it could be somebody else that's starting.
No, I don't think it matters that much because of the depth that we have and the fact that our wings and our 2s and 3s and even our 4s can really handle the ball. I think it's more impactful when your post guys can't handle and your wings turn the ball over. If you got mistake guys opposite your 1, it puts so much pressure on him that I think you really have to lock in and get that guy ready to do everything. But in our case, it doesn't matter as much. That said, I think oftentimes your better point guards are guys that kind of know, okay, I'm the point guard, I'm going to have the ball. I've got everybody's trust, and you got to be careful not to jump around too much, I think, as a coach. And I think I'll be sensitive to that as we move forward.
Still remember the Penn fight song? Got that down still?
Yeah, I do. I'm not going to sing it, though.
Has the cost of doing business with these kind of buy games gone up over the years and significantly? Or?
Yeah, I think it's it's going up. Yeah. I don't pay much attention to it, to be honest with you. We have parameters given to us by the administration, and we follow them.
It was last summer.
What was your initial reaction?
Well, first he told me, and I didn't believe him, so I called Coach, and then Coach said, yeah, we playing him. So I called him back, and I was just really excited. So.
What's your thoughts now? I mean, does it seem surreal to some extent that here you are, all that you guys have gone through, and now you're going to be playing on the court?
It's just a great opportunity to just play him. I don't really think it in a good or bad way. I'm just trying to have fun. So.
Is it exciting?
Yeah, it's really exciting.
You hoping he has to check you sometime?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm just going to try to treat it like just another game. It don't matter if he's guarding me or anybody else guarding me. I'm just going to play my game. So.
It's really kind
Penn tomorrow night playing Penn.
Yeah, they got some really good athletes, some quick guards, and some big guys to score that can score inside. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us. Probably the best team we faced at these first 5 games, and really have to bring it, start out strong, and continue it all the way through.
This will be your first. Do you guys feel this is really a good test for you tomorrow night?
Yeah, the way that we've looked at them on film already, and the way the coaches have already talked about them, we really didn't have a lot of information going into this game on them because they don't play a lot of televised games and that kind of thing. But we've watched a lot of film, and they look like they'll be a formidable opponent for us.
Talk about just finishing up this week. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of tests and getting ready for the Thanksgiving. Just talk about getting school in hand, and all that before a week off, but it's not a week off, obviously.
Right, the life of a student athlete. I mean, you kind of got to get everything scheduled and properly and get things done. And Friday night, we're going to have everything in school already in place and all that. And we're just going to look to play as hard as we can and get a win against a good team.
All right, anything else?
Are you getting reacclimated?
Yeah, I mean, the whole year we've both been, running the point, running the two, switching off in practices. And so we knew, throughout the season we may switch back and forth depending on what matchup's working. And, right now they're having me play more at the 1 and him more at the 2. But, it can change any time, whatever we feel like we need.
Talk about the business game tomorrow night against Penn. Give us a scouting report.
Penn's a very deep team. They play almost 16 guys. They'll sub a lot, which means they're going to get after us. They like to push it in transition, just like us. They might pick up full court. They got a big man that's really good inside, a very good scorer, and 2 pretty quick guards. It'll be a good matchup for us, and it's going to be a fun one.
Just talk about, this week, usually a lot of tests before Thanksgiving, that kind of thing. Just talk about, getting your school in order, and then you can concentrate on basketball for a week or 10 days.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nice having next week off. This week has been pretty crazy, but we have a lot of people keeping us organized with our learning center, and Troy does a great job of keeping us organized with our classes and stuff, and so it just makes everything that much easier. And we'll be ready to go for next week.
Can you talk about that? I know you don't want to look past Penn, obviously a quality opponent, but 3 games against probably 3 quality opponents.
Oh yeah, we got to take care of business against Penn, and then we're fortunate enough to be able to play in the Bahamas. Not a lot of teams get to go to big time tournaments like that, and it's just another opportunity for us to show our hard work that we've done over the summer.
Can you talk about a little bit about the difference from last year as a true freshman coming in? Maybe expectations not as high. Obviously this year they're soaring. Now you get on this stage. I mean, do you guys put any additional pressure on yourselves?
I don't think we do. We know our potential. We know that the sky's the limit for this team, and so we're just going out there working hard each day and trying to focus on what we do. We obviously have scouting reports that the coaches prepare about the other teams, but at the end of the day, I think it boils down to what we do, and if we're executing what we know we're capable of doing.